I'd like to welcome you guys to this week's report. It's been another really good week of fishing here in Southern California, and a lot of fish biting in a lot of different areas, and we've had enough of a movement of offshore fish into our different regions that I'm actually going to include some offshore fishing along with the inshore fishing by our region this week, and probably will continue to do so as long as this stuff sticks around. Before I get to the report, we've got some pretty unfavorable weather this weekend in the forecast. This is Wednesday afternoon. I'm recording this. I'm not going to talk too much in detail about it because it looks like it might change a little bit. But we're going to have some wind in the Channel Islands, San Clemente Island, Nick, SPI, the tuna zone off Cat, and SPI is going to get blown out, looks like. If you're planning on heading out this week, I would definitely check the weather closely before making any plans. And the good news is it starts to straighten back out next week, and by next weekend it's actually going to be pretty good weather again. So let's head to the map and take a look at what's happening. Starting up at the Channel Islands, the tuna that had been sliding up the line really slid up the line this week, and over the weekend where it was at the point where I think the Aloha Spirit had limits of sand bass and a couple of big bluefin fishing the beach up out of Ventura up there. I know several other boats got on fish. If you guys know Party Cat Pat on Instagram, he went out and got his butt kicked by a big one on a jig stick, looks like. And yep, plenty of bluefin up that way too. These things are pretty much everywhere right now, so they are moving around a bit though. Aaron Graham, who runs the Native Sun, talked about the fact that they're showing up in weird places and the next day they're gone again. So you just need to get out and look around. In other news up there, they're still getting a few sea bass, but they're not biting as well. One bird will get a hit now and then, but it seems pretty inconsistent. There's still some barracuda caught at Santa Cruz and Anacapa Islands. But this wind this weekend, I don't really think it's going to be doable up there unless you're on a sport boat, and maybe not even then. So, like I said, check the weather before heading out. Let's go down to San Nick and the Dirt Clod. This area is where most of the bluefin tuna action has been happening this last week here. There's just a huge volume of fish out that way. My buddy Jonathan took his nephew out on Saturday hoping to get him his first bluefin, and the first fish they ended up hooking was a 250-pound, taped out about 250 pounds on a spinning rod, and they definitely had their work cut out for him for a quite extended period of time. Most of the guys fishing up there are trolling madbacks or spreader bars or flying fish, nonsense like that, but you don't need to do it. Jimmy had a charter on Monday, went up there, they went 2 for 3 on tuna. They caught a smaller yellowfin. They had about a 70-pound bluefin, 75-pound bluefin, and then hooked what he estimated 120 to 150 pounder. And of course he hooked that on his 10-foot heavy crankbait rod, which is he did manage to get that 70-pound fish on it, but that's quite the hill you're setting yourself up to climb doing that stuff. But I'm sure next time he'll bring something a little heavier. In a situation like that where you're getting a mixed fish, I like to throw that Penn Fathom 25 narrow 2-speed full of 80-pound braid to 80 or 100-pound leader on an 8-foot graphite composite rod. That way you still got castability, and if you hook one of those bigger fish, you got a chance of landing it. A lot of fish being caught up there this week. Bobby Martinez went out again with my friend Brian Sander, and they got 3 fish. One was a 200-pounder, trolling madbacks up that way. Those fish were scattered all the way from, basically Catalina to San Nick and above there, all the way up to Ventura. So, it's if you got some decent weather, you got to drive around a bit, but they're in their normal spots. The most productive areas are the spots where you would normally get them. So you've been out the last few years, you don't really need to put too much thought into it. And I'm not giving away the details because there are guys who put their time in and probably wouldn't appreciate me telling you exactly where they're catching fish, but it's pretty easy to figure out. Heading out to San Clemente Island, not a lot of coverage at that island right now. Most of the overnight boats at Newport and Dana Point are fishing offshore. I'm going to include them in this section here because basically that water's there. Benny Florentino was over there today, had good bass fishing. I'm sure there's still yellows on the front side for the guys fishing over there. But most of the guys are fishing the banks below Clemente and catching yellowtail, some dorado, occasional yellowfin tuna. I took a look at that zone the other day. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, it's not going to be good weather to go out there on your own boat anyway this weekend. Heading into Cat, getting some nice yellowtail. The Victory was over there the other day, had yellowtail, calico bass, bonita, and also got like a big bluefin on the way there. So a lot of bluefin in between Cat and the mainland. But finding them, they're not really on the right spots. They're just in weird areas popping up, and boats are seeing them coming and going from the island. I took a look at all that on Friday. Might as well talk about that a little bit. Decker and I launched out of Newport. He had a charter, so I went along as a deckhand, and we cleared the harbor about 8 o'clock in the morning. Tried to make mackerel in case we saw marlin or swordfish, but all we caught was sardines, Spanish mackerel, and small bonita. So bait was hard to catch. Planned to go out and fish tuna with lures. The tide, I think, was around 11 or noon. So we knew there was a fish off the east end of Cat, but we were way too early for that, so I headed out to the mackerel bank, where we saw quite a few boats, but no sign of actual fish. From there we ran down to the 289. It got less fishy looking the further down we went. And I bent it back up towards the 152, which is off the east end of Cat. Did not see any fish at all there. We were already on the tide. Bended up the Avalon bank for nothing. And then ran down towards the 14 and crossed the end of the shipping lanes, which is often an area where those fish are, and that's where we saw fish a few weeks ago. Found one quick moving spot, a smaller bluefin, maybe 60, 80 pounders at the end of the shipping lanes. And then by the time we got to the 14, it was late in the day and we needed to get home, but there was small spots of yellowfin up. Chasing bait, boiling around a little bit. Got a couple casts on them with surface lures, but they didn't bite. And by then there was enough wind chop to make it kind of hard to spot fish. But yeah, so I might as well talk about that a little bit more. So that's a game plan that didn't really work out. We found a couple spots of fish, but the area we wanted to look at was kind of close to home and not a sure thing. So we decided to run past it and then do a loop to put us back in that zone at the prime time. And as we're running out, we actually found some bait and bird life and whales, dolphins outside of the Catalina ridge there at the 152. And that was where I was planning to go back to on the tide, because that was the best water I saw. But when we got back there, whatever was there was gone. So I just went back to my normal plan of driving across known spots, and we found fish in two areas. Found two different kinds of fish, and it's nice to see those yellowfin coming in. Those things tend to be a lot more cooperative than bluefin when it comes to throwing lures, and a lot of times if they're there biting lures on the surface, the bluefin will become more cooperative as well. In hindsight, if we wanted to guarantee the shot at bluefin, we should have launched out of Long Beach and ran up to the area that's been biting up by Santa Barbara and west of Catalina, but we figured like just taking our chances and going fishing around no other boats, so we got to do that. Anyway, heading into the beach, there's really nothing exciting going on. I'm going to go probably fish PD this Saturday to get out of the wind, but I really haven't heard a whole lot. Nothing really along the coast all the way down to San Diego or from the Coronados, but the offshore scene out of San Diego is the boats are mostly catching, they're having good mixed bag fishing for yellows, dorado, yellowfin tuna, bluefin tuna. You got a shot at all four fish. Some of those trips, which is kind of cool. And again, the yellows are pretty nice size. They're not the little tiny ones, and the dorado are nice size as well. I see, I've seen some pictures of boats unloading dock carts after a 2-day trip because they got off a 10-day trip with all the yellowtail they caught. So if you're looking to do that, you can go a full day or an overnight, day and a half. Any of those trips will be targeting that stuff. A lot of the longer trips, day and a half plus, might be going up to the bluefin zone. And again, that bluefin zone is pretty far from San Diego. So if you live up towards Long Beach or LA, I'd look for a boat that's got running up here that's going there, because you have a lot less time in the car and you have a shorter boat ride. But anyway, again, this weekend, the weather is going to definitely be a factor. But yeah, I guess that's about all I have to cover this week. So good luck with your fishing, and make sure and check the weather before heading out.